for those of you who are seeking the Lord, who are looking to serve the Lord through ministry, who are walking in your gifts, your spiritual gifts, you're going to be under attack more than most. And I don't think we realize how temptation can really be a distraction, and that it can be something that's kind of a constant, especially in certain seasons in your life. And so when we talk about right versus wrong, it has to do with the Word of God. That's how we know what's right and what's wrong. And so I want to talk about something very specific today. I haven't really talked about the narcissistic abuse that I experienced as much lately. I haven't talked about relationships as much, but I want to go back to where I started, and I want to talk about those things because God is helping me understand that it's very necessary. There are a lot of people who are spreading misinformation and lies about this topic, and so I want to just allow him to use me to shed some light here as a survivor of narcissistic abuse. There are some things that God has taught me and shown me for me to overcome what I was facing. And so my goal is just to help someone out there who may be in a narcissistic relationship or has gotten out and is trying to recover, and also help prevent people from getting in one in the first place, because that's honestly the best solution, is to just don't even get involved in the first place if you can help it. So what I want to talk about is being tempted by lust, being tempted by what you can see with your eyes, being tempted in your flesh, things that we give into in relationships that we should not give into, but because we're being tempted, there's something we see, something in our flesh that we want, we give in and we allow the enemy to grab a hold in our life. And so I want to talk about the physical aspect of dating and attraction, because this is one of the strongest weapons that I've seen that the enemy uses to get people off track, to get them into relationships that they had no business being in the first place. I know for me, that is something that really blinded me in that relationship for a long time, because this person was considered to be very physically attractive by most people, but there was nothing behind that attraction. Like, there was nothing, their spirit and their soul and their personality didn't align with their looks at all. But because they had a certain look that I thought was appealing at the time, it wasn't even about like an attraction for me. It was more so, it made me feel good to be seen with this person. It made me feel good that, oh, someone like this is attracted to me. And it boosted my ego. It boosted my self-esteem. And it made me feel good to be seen with this person. And so I don't mind being transparent. I know that that's like kind of not a good thing, right? It's kind of a toxic thing, like to allow yourself to be in relationship because of how others perceive it or perceive you. But I mean, I was immature, and that's the place I was in at the time. And so and I think they knew that. I think they kind of I know for a fact that they used that against me, because anytime they got angry and they would start to belittle me and make me feel like I was nothing, and they pretty much would say things like, I'm lucky to be with them, and if I don't act right, there's just so many other women who are waiting in line to be with that person. And if you have any like sense of self-worth and self-esteem, you'd be like, okay, bye, like, go right ahead. But they had, like, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, over the course of the relationship, they had kind of like pulled my self-esteem down so much. Like, and I know no one can like make you have low self-esteem, but I would say I allowed them to bring my self-esteem down to the point where I didn't have any at all. I didn't have any self-confidence. I didn't have that sense of self-worth that I had before the relationship. It all just kind of deteriorated within the relationship because of mental abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse, spiritual abuse, and isolation. Like, I was literally isolated from everyone else in my life during that time, which was like a few years. So it got to a point where I started to believe them. I started to believe the things that they were saying about me, that I'm nothing without them, that no one would ever want me, you know, that I would never find anyone better than them. Those are all lies, but when you hear certain things like over and over again, sometimes you can be susceptible to that and you start to believe it. And so, anyway, getting back to my original point of lust and the lust of the flesh and the pride of life. Those are the things that I think are the top things that tempt us in ungodly connections. And if we're not careful, it can lead us down a very, very dark path, because it's almost like you're chasing something that you can't never really attain. Like, you're chasing an illusion, you're chasing a desire that you have in your flesh, but it's not actually feeding you. It's not actually doing anything for you except slowly destroying you. It's separating you from God. It's separating you from your purpose. It's delaying all of God's promises in your life. And you just never want to be in a place where you just feel stuck. Like, you feel like, you know, you're trapped, and you're really trapped by your own flesh and your own desires. But that's what sin does. It makes you trapped. It takes away your freedom. So it's just really important to just assess your decisions, your decision making. Like, why are you making certain decisions? Why are you choosing to stay in relationships that you know are not healthy for you? After a while, it's gonna have a negative impact on you. And some things people never really they never recover, or they don't get out of it. They don't come out of it. It's a very serious thing who you connect to in this life. And so I just want you to stop and consider why you're choosing the people you choose, why you're attracting the people you attract. Is there something that you're doing that can be avoided? You know, just really assess yourself honestly, because if you start something with a shaky foundation, with reasons that are shallow, then, I mean, the relationship is always gonna stand on those things. And it's gonna fall apart also because it's not a strong foundation. So yeah, I just want you to stop and think about these things and be honest. Be honest about like what your weaknesses are, what your desires are, and what you want. Because God already knows. And if you talk to him about it, he can like reassure you, like, okay, you know, what I have for you, your needs will be met. It's not like, and the devil will try to trick you and make you think like, oh, if you surrender to God and allow him to send people in your life, you're not going to get your needs met. And it's the opposite. You will get your needs met. You will be happy and fulfilled, but you have to surrender those things to God. You can't make them idols. You can't base life decisions on the things that are not of God, because it's always going to backfire, you know. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, it may be 5 years from now, but your decisions have consequences. And I know it's not easy at all. Trust me, I understand. Temptation can really be very difficult, but at the same time, it's still necessary for you to be obedient. And God requires a level of obedience from us. And so you have to stand on the word of God. And this is about your soul, your freedom, your salvation. You can't put your own desires as a pedestal above God, because there's always going to be consequences, okay? So I hope that this has helped. I hope that this was a blessing to someone out there. Remember that you are seen, you are loved, and you are not alone. Hope this helps. Until next time.